iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. And we are going to cover the Miami Dolphins today. And there are major questions that literally happened today at Dolphins camp. So let's just begin at where it happened. Ryan Tannehill suffered a leg injury today during practice. The Dolphins were concerned. There's no medical info, but the players are concerned. People are there, are watching and looking, and it's not good. So Adam Schefter's calling it concern. Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald is saying concern. There are people right now that are very concerned about Ryan Tannehill. Now, I happen to have liked Tannehill coming into this year. I thought he was in the best position possible to succeed, considering he's playing with Adam Gase. He's got a good group of receivers. He's got a great running back now. All the things are in place for Tannehill. But health, to be quite honest with you, is not there. It wasn't last year, when he left with a partially torn ACL. And he missed the last 3 weeks of the season, as you know. And now this year, there's concern. So here's the good news. It happened early. We can figure this out. We will get as much news as possible to everybody out there about the injury. Here's the other bit of good news. Matt Moore is a really good player. Matt Moore may be, for better or worse, one of the best backups in football. When I think of the best backups in football, I'm going through it now. I like Derek Anderson a little bit. I like A.J. McCarron a little bit. I like Paxton Lynch a little bit. Let's see, I'm going through it here. Matt Moore, I love. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's number one in my book. I love Jimmy Garoppolo. And there you have it. That's about it. So Garoppolo 1, Matt Moore 2. If there's any team that can withstand this injury, it might just be the Dolphins. Matt Moore has experience. And let me share something with you guys. Last year, 3 games, 8 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. 12 for 18, 236 yards, 4 touchdowns. 16 for 30, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns. 24 for 34, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm just throwing it out there. He doesn't suck. So with most other teams, this could be a crushing blow. With the Dolphins, it's bad, but it could be a whole lot worse. It could be a whole lot worse. So I am cautiously optimistic about Tannehill. We'll have to get more information, but Matt Moore is there, and I do like Matt Moore, so please don't press the panic button just yet. All right, Jay Ajayi, I absolutely love this kid. So this is where I always wonder whether or not I could be a scout. I'm watching Jay Ajayi back in Boise State, and I'm watching him in a bowl game, and I am watching one of the best college runners I've ever seen. And I'm not playing. He had 1,800 yards, 28 touchdowns, 50 receptions. He was a man among boys. And then I see in the draft that this guy drops because of worries about his knee. Okay, all I know is when I watched this guy play, he was pretty special. This was special. And he never got a shot. They brought Arian Foster. What a poo-poo plotter that was. Should have known that one. Hated Arian Foster last year. I got duped. I took him in one draft last year in Las Vegas. Literally, as the words came out of my mouth, Arian Foster, I regret this pick right there. Blech. That's how bad it was. But Ajayi is great. So last year, he didn't even make the plane. He didn't even get on the plane to Seattle. right? Then after week 2, it's bad. 5 for 14. And I think in one of my leagues, I'm thinking about cutting him. I'm thinking about it. But then it happens. Against Cleveland, 7 carries, 28 yards, and a touchdown. Against Cincinnati, he only had 6 carries, but for 33 yards. Then he split it. Then in week 6, 25 for 204, 2 touchdowns. Week 7, 28 to 214 and 1 touchdown. Week 9, 24 for 111 and a touchdown. Are you kidding me? Then he throws in another one against Buffalo for 206 yards and a touchdown. This guy is real deal. This guy's real deal. So I believe that Adam Gase hated him. I do. I believe it. But then I think Adam Gase realized, I may hate this guy, but he's a darn good football player. Now, he has a concussion right now. It was confirmed. So he's going to miss some time in practice. I'm okay with that. I don't need him playing in preseason. I already know he's the best guy on the Dolphins. I get it. Would I take him in the first round? Maybe pick 11, pick 12. In a perfect world, I'm taking him around that turn. So in one league, I took Jordy Nelson at 11. I took Ajayi in round 2. In another league, I took Ajayi at 12 and Devonta Freeman in round 2. I'm in on Ajayi. I'm in. He's got good hands. The dude caught 50 passes in college in his senior year. He had 27 last year when they didn't use him on 35 targets. So that's telling me, you put the biscuit in the basket, he can catch it. So I think he could go up to 40 catches this year. Could he get 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns? Absolutely. I'm in on him. 100%. Love him. Damian Williams is a very interesting guy. Coming out of Oklahoma, he is the backup. Don't believe it's Kenyon Drake. Don't buy what they're selling there. I think Kenyon Drake is a good player, but to me, he's more of a gadget player. Damian Williams, right? He was on the field a lot. He had 23 receptions and 3 touchdowns. He had 35 rushing attempts and 3 touchdowns. When they were in on the red zone, especially around the goal line, he was in a lot of those packages. So I think if I had Ajayi, which I do, Damian Williams is the guy I want to own and not Kenyon Drake. At wide receiver, there's 3 that we need to discuss. One is Jarvis Landry Roto. I can't even begin to discuss for you how much I like this guy. He's just a good football player. Now, we could pick him apart. Maybe not a lot of, yards per reception, not too many touchdowns, but he's a really good player. He's a really good player. He returns kicks. He returns punts. He's always in the right spot. He runs great routes, and I don't know why the Dolphins are playing around with this guy. Sign him to a deal. Now, I know there's a franchise tag, blah, 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 blah. Give this guy a contract. He is the glue. You lose Jarvis Landry, and I think this team goes to bits. Because Jarvis Landry is the one guy who's always in the right spot. Julius Thomas, I'll get to him in a second. Disinterested. Devontae Parker, he's figuring himself out. Kenny Stills, he only knows how to run one route. Jarvis Landry can run the route tree. He is in the right spot and gets open every single time. If there's one player on the Dolphins who cannot get hurt, it is Jarvis Landry. He is the glue to this team. I'm convinced of it. Now, Devontae Parker, let me tell you what about him. There are guys who it comes easily to in high school, right? They're good players. They just show up on Fridays. They play well, they're bigger, taller, stronger, and they're playing some guy that they saw in geometry class last week, right? Then they go to college, and in college, maybe it's a little harder, but for the most part, it's still pretty easy because they are so athletically gifted that they have to step it up a little bit, but not a lot. And then you get to the pros. And then you see Desmond Trufant, and Darius Slay, and Jason Verrett. And these guys don't play. and Brent Grimes. And these guys bring it every game. And now Devontae Parker realizes that my charm and my good looks and my, athletic ability only gets me so far. Work ethic, practice, dedication. He is getting a glimmer of that this year. This guy, good player. Will he be great? I don't know. But I know this. Guys like Parker thrive on momentum. If he's got good momentum, we should see a good season. If he gets shut down the first 3 or 4 weeks, he's watching videos of old games at Louisville to remind him how good a player he was. So I like Devontae Parker as a wide receiver 4 this year. I think there's good upside. Kenny Stills is the 3rd receiver on this team. He has one route. Run deep, Kenny. Go long, Forrest. That's his route. He had 9 touchdowns last year, 700 yards. I don't know if he gets 9 this year. I have him pegged more for 5. I mean, he's fine as a wide receiver 5 or 6 in fantasy. I guess if there's an injury, I like him a lot more. But I'm going to say this. Drew Brees wasn't unhappy to see him go. And that tells me a lot, because if Drew Brees didn't want him gone, he wouldn't be. Right? Drew Brees has a lot of weight in New Orleans. Don't kid yourself. Maybe more than Sean Payton. If Drew Brees said, I like Kenny Stills, you know where he'd be right now? Eating a beignet in New Orleans. But he's not. So I'm just throwing that out there. I like him, but I don't love him. Lastly, at tight end, Julius Thomas is there. Julius Thomas is a pain in the butt. This guy did not get the memo. Because in his memo, he's decided he's a star player. And when he was in Denver, he was. But was he really that good? Sure, you're good with Peyton Manning. Then you go to Jacksonville and you kind of stink. You know why? Well, I'll blame Blake Bortles for that. I will. And Adam Gase wasn't there. I get it. So now you're back with Adam Gase. You had your best success with this guy ever. He knows how to use you. This got to be a rebound year. If it doesn't happen for him this year, adios, Julius Thomas. But I'm willing to give him a shot this year. I think he could have 7 or 8 touchdowns. I love him in a standard league, not as much in a PPR format. But I do like him in a standard league a whole lot. Andrew Franks is the kicker, whatever. Seriously, whatever. I mean, the Dolphins didn't have a lot of attempts last year. So they weren't very special there. They've got a guy named Jakeem Grant, who is their kick returner and punt returner, and he's their 5th receiver. They have Leonte Carew, who they just really haven't fallen in love with this guy. I know a lot of people liked him. I liked him coming out of Rutgers. I did. But this is a guy that needs to grow up and be ready. Right? I see here, a lot of these guys haven't been eating healthy. Because remember, you're in college. You're drinking beer. You're hanging out with some nice-looking girls. You're going to class once a week. You're kind of eating at the cafeteria. You're putting on a lot of carbs. And you're dominating at college. I get it. You're dominating in college because you're 20 or 21 and you're playing a rookie defensive back who's a freshman who's like 18 years old who just came out of like Dunbar High School. Right? And you're this really good player. You've been playing in the college for a few years and you're bigger, you're stronger, and you're faster. I've always said this next comment. My freshman hall, we played a lot of intramural sports at my college. And my freshman hall, we got to like the quarterfinals and semifinals of a lot of things because we had a lot of really good athletes on my hall. By senior year, the same group of guys, if they ever played together, which wasn't often, but they won. We won a lot of games as seniors. Right? I didn't always play with them at that point because I had other friends, fraternities to hang out with. But when I did play with those guys, we were killing them because we were bigger, taller, stronger, and faster as seniors than we were as freshmen. At freshmen, we were just good athletes. As seniors, we were really good athletes, and we were 15 pounds heavier. So don't kid yourself. A senior in college versus a freshman, who's stronger? Who's got more muscle? Who's going to be a better player? No wonder Devontae Parker does well. No wonder Leonte Carew does well. It's what you do as a pro that matters. Do you know who knew that? Jerry Rice. Do you know who knew that? Chris Carter, eventually. Chris Carter would probably tell you if he was on this podcast right now, and I only wish he was, If he was on this podcast right now, he probably would tell you that he didn't put in enough time and effort when he first started. He was doing blow and he thought he could just get by. But that's not how it works. You got to put the time in. You got to put the energy in. You got to put the work in. Never wonder why Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver of all time. He put the work in. Are you willing to put the work in? I ask you that. Are you willing to put the work in fantasy sports to be a winner? But Dr. Roto, that's the dumbest analogy I've ever heard. No, it's not. You want to be good at anything in life? You've got to put the work in. The only place success comes before work is the dictionary. You want to be good at something, you work at it. You don't think I work at fantasy football every day? You don't think I'm paying attention to the news and processing information and reading other things and reading articles and reading blogs and talking to friends and getting smarter? I am. Because I've got to work harder than the next guy to be Dr. Roto. Now, here's the beautiful thing. You go to scoutfantasy.com, you enter the promo code ROTO, that's R-O-T-O, you can get the benefit of my analysis, Sean Childs' analysis, Adam Ronis' analysis. Right? We'll do the work for you. But if you take your knowledge and add it to our knowledge, now you know what you've created? A beast. Take what we're doing, incorporate what you think, and make it work for you. And if you do that, you should be very successful in fantasy football. You should be. And I wish you that success. And if you become successful in fantasy football, you're going to go to playffwc.com. Go on to our lobby right there and join one of our drafts. Maybe it's a starter draft. Maybe it's the online championship. Or maybe it's the Fantasy Football World Championships, the main event. Maybe you will be crowned the Fantasy Football World Champion this year. Maybe you'll come out to the Palms Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas and hang out. I'll be there drafting. You know that. If I'm not drafting in Vegas, I'm not happy. Telling you that right now. It's a great place to be. It's a great location. We're as excited as we've ever been. It's going to be an outstanding experience, and we encourage you to join us. So go check out playffwc.com right now and join one of our events. It's the best payouts, best commissioner product, best draft rooms. You're done in 2 hours or less if you do it online. All right, time now to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. I'm away for a couple of days, going up to my wife's family reunion. Yeah, notice the excitement. No, it's going to be a good time, and I'm looking forward to it. But I'm back next week doing all that I can to help you prepare for your fantasy football championships. We'll be back soon, guys. So have a great day. Be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!